When I became First Lady, it became demanding for me. Nobody can stop me. Perception is real, and the truth is not.
Lauren Greenfield was born on June 28, 1966 in Los Angeles, and she's graduated from Harvard University with a BA in Visual Environment Studies in 1987. She is an African artist and documentary filmmaker. She directed the film The Kingmaker, which features Imelda Marcos and focuses on the Marcos family efforts to rehabilitate their image and regain political power, as well as showcase the crime of the former First Lady of the Philippines.
Proceed to our guide questions. I am going to give a brief introduction about the documentary that we have critiqued. The Kingmaker tackles the peak political career of Imelda Marcos and the legacy of the Marcos era in the Philippines and to the Filipino people. Many familiar interviewees or people who encountered that era in the documentary depict the atrocities and crimes of the Marcoses. The film also portrays how powerful the Marcos family was in the era of the late dictator President Ferdinand Marcos Sr. The Marcos administration's brutality and corruption were also revealed and explained in the documentary. Perhaps the most disturbing part of The Kingmaker is that Marcos' attempts to rewrite history seems to be working up to this day. And so on. Upon watching the documentary, we have seen 4 literary theories and that explained in our critique paper. The 4 theories that we have encountered are Marxism, symbolic interactionism, rationalism, and postmodernism theory. Hello, this is Smith from Group 1, and this academic vlog will contain all of our answer on the guide question.
Why do you think the non-peaceful situation occurred? Was it solved, or how could it be solved?
According to Jogin in 1989, non-peaceful situation occurred through violent threats and forced deportation of the locals in Caluit Island by the Marcos government. And it was also mentioned in the documentary of Kingmaker that in the interview of one of the locals that if they didn't move out, they will be killed by the police or the government troops. It was not solved and even caused more problems, such as the lack of funds and the crops of the farmers being eaten by the animals. This issue could be solved through rehabilitation that will benefit the locals, that it is equal to the cost of losing their homes. That is by giving them a new home or giving them a monetary assistance.
How did the film you watched change your perspective on the topic? What necessary personal changes will you make in your behavior?
According to Colas, in 2016, Marcos is a known kleptocrat, a tyrant, and a dictator. So my view of him as a bad figure didn't change before or after I watched the film. In contrast, it made him even look worse, especially to the oppressive acts that he had done against the people, specifically the poor.
In addition, Greenfield's documentary enlightened me more about what and who really the Marcoses are.
Why is resolving the conflict important to society and its institution?
According to Skips 2020, everyone encounters conflict and they have an option to resolve it successfully or not. Effective conflict resolution has several advantages, including achieving objectives and enhancing relationships. However, disagreements can also be harmful. Conflict may rapidly turn into strong dislike and even cause relationships to break down if not managed properly.
So to stop further conflict, there must be an act and prevention. That is to compromise and give back to the people what they have lost during the conflict, especially their necessities, without exchanging things or factors that could make the society grim or collapse.
Resolving and coming to good terms during conflict is important so that the society will attain order and peace despite each individual political preferences and differences from one another. Without resolving issues and problems, anarchy and chaos will continue to reign. So, to stop further conflict, there must be an act and prevention that is to compromise and give back what the people have lost during the conflict, especially their necessities without exchanging things are factors that would make the society grim and collapse.
As a student, being educated about the matters discussed in the film is important. Why?
Being educated about the matters in the film, especially the topic is about history, we must be aware of the past so it won't happen again in our current time and the future. So we will not suffer the consequences of those dishonorable ruling as was said by George Santayana and Winston Churchill, in which we will avoid the risk of the advantage of being exploited and being by others.
What is your final stand on the film you'll watch?
After watching the film, these are the things that define my stand regarding Lauren Greenfield's documentary, The Kingmaker. First, the documentary broadened my understanding about history to be specific on the Marcos era. In my point of view, I am not pleased with what Mrs. Marcos' idea about martial law, as she stated that everyone was being harsh to the Marcoses by dragging them down and spreading hate towards them. I, as a student who has an insight about what happened during the martial law regime, is quite triggered since I am aware about the numbers of victims during the martial law era. Until now, the scar and fear from the family of the victims is not yet healed, which is why I think Mrs. Marcos inside failed to convince me. Additionally, I really adore how Greenfield's documentary changes the atmosphere as it continued at the same time. The objective of the film somehow backfired at Mrs. Marcos as the documentary aims to let people know what is the inside of Imelda Marcos about herself as the kingmaker. And that would be all.